Hello, and welcome to the Arha Book Chat. Can we see me and can we hear me? I kind of had to throw out the old playbook when it came to audio, so I'm just making sure that I can be heard in a way that is not grating to the ears. We should be good. Okay, then. So, welcome to the Arha Book Chat. This is where we talk about Arha Volume 10, usually, but like a funny thing happened. Trying to stream last time, I only got like a chapter done before it all collapsed, and it was like real rickety to like begin with. So which leaves us like much less to discuss. And then also it's like it's with the section that we read, it was more of the satirical where we're trying to come up with a reality in which Mo-run is not both gay and in love with Chuaning, which is not going to go well. I am, however, low-key betting that this is somehow going to lead to Shuemang, witnessing. And any version of Shuemang witnessing is a good time. But other than that, we have the next 40 minutes to talk about Precious Little. So I thought, and this is why I invited Remnants of Filth people here today, in trying to figure out whether or not I can read Remnants of Filth at a much later date. There's going to be the vote in June for the next series. And Remnants of Filth is so long that it's not going to be in that vote. It is going to be in the vote after that. But I need to get the actual short list of the next really long series that I read, actually set in stone. And this is a lovely little opportunity here with you guys to basically talk about not just trigger warnings, but my specific trigger warnings, because it's not something that I can just Google, because it's very specific, and I don't want to just go searching for trigger warnings because spoilers, and there's just no way that I can find it out without sitting down and asking people about it. It's actually how I figured out that I could even read Arha. I went into the Discord and I asked some questions, and I got some good questions back. And especially now that I've finished the main story of Arha, I can even better tailor and communicate my precious few squicks, trigger warnings, that kind of thing, so that I can actually get a good idea of whether or not Remnants of Filth is a good fit for me. Not to mention the nice little surprise at finally coming back to streams after a little bit of a break. One, there is a brand new DLC for Spirit City. As you can tell, it's a garden. There's all kinds of gorgeous and adorable garden shit going on now. There are so many new amazing spirits, creatures, and animals and such to have as our little companions after Arha, because obviously Mei Hunchwhale is the mascot of Arha. We can't get rid of, no, we're not, we're simply not. It's my party, and we're not doing that to Mei Hunchwhale. So after that, there will also be some new spirits in the mix, but kind of from now on, I thought it would be fun to essentially let you guys pick the garden before every reading stream. So this is going to be the garden that goes into the reading stream today. And on Thursday, you guys get to vote again, just going off of emoji vibes, just for fun. It's just fun. I was like, I used to settle on one garden and that was it. But you know what? This is more fun. So we're going to have more fun. And it was hysterical, dropping an innocent little mysterious poll and causing untold chaos as y'all immediately leapt to the next vote for the next series that gets read. And like, granted, I am low-key complimented every time the Brit May joke comes around. It does indeed, it flatters me. But I would not be like so unhinged and mean as to, one, host the next vote just randomly with no warning, and then two, not let you guys be certain on which one you're voting for. That would be crazy, at least to me. So it was deeply entertaining watching everyone run around screaming when it's a cute garden poll. That was very entertaining. Thank you so much. So, about Remnants of Filth, and I wanted to have an actual, eye-to-eye conversation about it, because I've gotten a couple of impressions about Meat Bun's non-Erha work that brought in a couple of concerns for me when it comes to my enjoyment. And also just what I'm down for and willing to read, which, as you can tell with Erha, I'm down for a lot. I just have a very specific line about a couple of very specific things. One is much more easy to talk about. So if Erha had ended with a major character death, as in either Chuaning or Morun, if either one of them had died, like perma-died, like there's no dead, one or both of them, that wouldn't necessarily make me suddenly hate the series and throw it out the window and never, touch it and never talk about it again. It wouldn't be that extreme, but I probably wouldn't have ever had plans to read it again. It's not a hard no when it comes to character death and tragic endings in that regard, but that does affect my experience. And I've heard that Meat Bun really likes to kill her main characters when it's not Erha. And I believe them. So if I'm going to go through Remnants of Filth is 8 volumes long. If I'm going to go through 8 volumes of Meat Bun level stuff, just to have one of them die at the end, that might not be a hard no, but that would shift the title down on my priorities. You know what I mean? So that's a big and more easily explainable kind of line that I have. My ideal is literally Erha. Drag me through the most utter shit imaginable. Make me believe in my core that there's a chance that this isn't going to end well. But then give me that happy ending. That's the ideal. It's not a 100% hard and fast rule, and there is no trigger element around that. That is more of a preference that I have to keep in mind when it comes to Remnants of Filth. When it comes to the consent issue, this is all leading up to a grand question, I promise. When it comes to the consent issue, I am no stranger to dark fiction. I have read and thoroughly enjoyed Erha. I love Hanagram, for fuck's sake. I've read Killing and Stalking more than once, although I wouldn't call that one romantic. But still, that's the I'm not shy about dark fiction. There's plenty of dark fiction that I love. And even when it comes to non-consensual elements, even though Erha did ultimately end in the way that I would most prefer, it could have delivered on the promise that the earlier volumes did, in that Morun is a guy who's going to undergo a really thorough and beautiful redemption arc. And that still would have been awesome. That still would have been, I was so down for that, if you couldn't tell, in the early volumes. I was so down. That's also not a problem. where I specifically come into an issue, and I'd be shocked if this was the case for Meat Bun, considering she seems to be very cognizant of this. Where it gets into an issue for me is whenever it's like, as to whenever there's non-consensual elements where the author doesn't seem to be aware of how fucked up it is, doesn't treat it that way, or just straight up doesn't seem to know that anything wrong happened at all. That's when that's when I start to feel like gaslighted and like genuinely uncomfortable. Like there was, was it a Thai series? Was it a C-drama? God, I can't remember, but it's like a huge, and I want to say it was called Addicted, but that could actually be wrong. I know Addicted is a series, but there was a East Asian drama that it was all well and good and everything was fine and everything was beautiful. And then all of a sudden things happen and we just keep going on as usual. And it's like nothing run that, like, again, feels gaslighty. And then it also just pisses me off. And like that, no, I'm not down with that. I don't kink shame when it comes to things that are clearly supposed to be like titillating in a non-con sense. That's supposed to be like the kink that we're all engaging in. Like I don't shame that like at all. It's the specific vibe that you get. And unfortunately, I feel like everyone here is very familiar when it's not handled in a way that conveys the seriousness and the fucked upness of what is transpiring. That would mainly be my two big issues when I'm looking at something like Remnants of Filth. So, keeping that in mind, is that still a good fit for me, specifically? Oh, I love that Zareem says, Yu is fluff compared to Erha. E says you will absolutely be okay with Remnants of Filth on both counts. Thank you very much. Awesome. I'm relieved, too. Yeah, Maria says you were safe. Yes. Ha! Henry said you were a cakewalk if you got through Erha and Captive Prince. Trust. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I also went into such detail about both of those things, also for future reference. So that if there's anything that has landed on a list or has landed in my purview that I've talked about potentially reacting to, and you know that it either does or does not fly with my particular lines, then you guys can let me know. So this is both for now and in the future. But I'm really happy to hear that about Remnants of Filth, because I'm so excited to read it one day. And I really, really hoped that it jived with my particular lines. I was especially when I found out that it takes place like in the Erha world, which I did not learn, or I guess I didn't really retain until recently. And I would love to go back into that world. I'm deeply happy that so I'm actually okay. So now I get to write down that Remnants of Filth has essentially passed the vibe check and can officially be something that you guys vote on the next time we do a longer series. Because the vote in June is going to be for something that's around like 5 or 6 volumes, not like 8. That one should come in June, the vote for the next series should come in June. And actually, since we had the delightful miscommunication on the importance of the poll that I mysteriously dropped on you guys, it is I'll tell you that the vote is coming in June because I'm having a break from reading streams in June because season 3 of Interview with the Vampire is happening, and I'm going to need all the time I possibly can in order to get that up both for patrons and on YouTube and stuff. So we won't pick up reading streams probably until sometime in July, but we will have the vote in June for Pride. And I don't know if I told you guys what was on the short list for the June vote. If I haven't, I will tell you now, because I was watching you guys lose your minds with like theories and excitement, and I was like, oh dear God, I hope just like fun garden stuff isn't a letdown. And I will do better in the future to set expectations. I can't believe I didn't even think about inviting Remnants of Filth people in here, and a mysterious poll happening on the same day might cause some issues. Maybe. Let's see. Did I tell you guys? Yeah. The list. The short list for the vote in June for the next series that we read. I have it down to, what is it? 5 or I'm looking over here because that's where all the books are piled up. It's like 5 or 6 options, and I can't remember if I told you guys. E says, I don't believe you told us the short list. Well, in that case, once again, we vote in June, probably somewhere around like mid-June. If I can swing it, I'll have the vote start on my birthday, which is June 12th, just cause. So it'll probably be somewhere around mid-June and run for about a week. Let's see. We'll start at we can't start at the top. I have a volume of Erha up there. We're obviously not reading that next. So the series on the short list are, as I read, Stars of Chaos, Thousand Autumns, which I saw you guys talking about earlier. Can I read that from here? Silent Reading, Modu, Kaleidoscope of Death, because I was bribed. I mean, I also have a genuine interest in reading the series, obviously, but I was deeply bribed. Before I knew it, I had 2 volumes of Kaleidoscope of Death. I didn't even... So, Kaleidoscope of Death and Peerless is that last one. How many was that? Stars of Chaos, Thousand Autumns, Silent Reading, Kaleidoscope of Death, Peerless. 5. Yeah. It's a pretty stacked list from what I understand, which seems to be a running theme. I think every time I give you guys a poll, it is somehow full of like the most offensive things to pit against each other, which I'm low-key kind of proud of, but that's also rough. Oh, Blue Turnip says that Thousand Autumns and Peerless are in the same world. And Thousand Autumns needs to go first then. Well, that affects things. I'm making a note here. Thank you, Blue. I know there's another series that could take Peerless's place since Thousand Autumns needs to be first. But I can't think of one off the top of my head. Since we're just shooting the shit, I should probably open my Danmei Word document with my master list of all the Danmei that I have to read, both on stream and just on my own. So, no Peerless. Let me see. Because then I can ask you guys. which one and get you guys input on which one of the other possible 5 to 6 book series should go on the short list. We'll do a bit of research real quick. Come on. Come on. I'm telling you, my computer has started to slow down, which makes sense because I've had this since basically the start of the channel. This is still the computer that you guys got me to make sure that I would finish the Untamed reactions from all those years ago. Let's see. Yeah, that was everything up in that 5 to 6. Okay, so what else could go there? Possible replacements for Peerless. I'm looking for around the same length. All right. So with, to my knowledge, 4 volumes in each series, there is Mistakenly Saving the Villain and 300 Years of Longing. I think I've heard the title Mistakenly Saving the Villain get kicked around the Discord a couple of times. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was where everyone wanted to go. But of the mid-length options that I have, those are basically the 2. Mistakenly Saving the Villain or 300 Years of Longing. Could replace Peerless in the June vote, since Thousand Autumns has to be first. Oh, we love hearing that they're both really good. E says 300 Years of Longing is good for theorizing. I'm going to keep notes. Good for theorizing. Endeavorist asked about Case File. That is also on my list. That's just longer. This next vote is going to be for series that are somewhere between 4 and 6 volumes. And then the one after that might be a super short one. And I will get to a longer series again. It'll just be a second, since we're literally just coming at the end of an 11-volume series. But Case File is on there. I actually still need to do a trigger warning check for Case File as well. But there are 3 longer ones. Remnants of Filth, Case File Compendium, and Ballad of Sword and Wine. But those are longer. Those won't be coming for a while. So between Mistakenly Saving the Villain and 300 Years of Longing, let me see. Both are great. Henry said Ballad of My Husband and His Wife. Oh, I love hearing that there's a lot of good options here. That makes me feel better. Because I can get paranoid about being like, hey guys, what do you want me to read next? And it's a lot of like crap. It's a lot of stuff that no one is interested in. It is really hard to choose. But you know, speaking of choice, just for giggles, we're going to turn it into a poll. I'm so not typing out these titles because, dear God. So have the etc. version of the titles. Oh man, Maddie, I would have made the poll emojis if I'd had time. That takes a second to track down and decide on which emojis are like the best fit. Oh, Henry has mentioned Ballad of Sword and Wine and how that's also excellent for theorizing. You know what's funny though about that title? I swear to God, for a not insignificant amount of time, I thought the title had swine in there somewhere, and to this day, I read Ballad of Sword and Wine, and my brain still puts swine in there somewhere, and I don't know why I'm like this, but as long as it gets a laugh, I'm not really gonna complain. Maddie says motion to call it swine when she reads it. So, Sword and Wine. I will have to really concentrate on enunciating it so it doesn't just come out as the Ballad of Swine. That's going to have to be something that I focus on. So, Sword and Wine also gets a theorizing note for future reference. Ah! Liv says pig emojis. You know, I should, as the in joke, where I can, I'll make that the emoji for Sword and Wine. How's the vote going? Oh, 300 is winning a little bit. Nice. In fact, don't we have... Oh, no, there's still a couple of people who could chime in. Not that you have to. Oh, I guess there are also a couple of people who just haven't read either one of them and therefore have no opinion. So that should be about everyone. So I will, when I actually look at 300 and mistakenly saving the villain later, it will have a note next to it that says it won the vote. And I will keep that in mind. Oh, Maddie says we could get a pig break room pet. And actually, you can now. One of the new ones for the garden is indeed a pig. So you joke, but no, that's very much a thing. Very much a thing that could happen. Henry, thank you again for information. Who says that 300 is great for a break. I would not read Mistakenly Saving the Villain right after Erha. Thank you. This also helps. Maybe that's why Mistakenly Saving the Villain didn't make it onto the short list the first go around when I didn't know about Peerless. Maybe I looked at it and was like, seems a little heavy. Liv tempting the devil by saying, when has my intuition ever hurt anyone? How much time do you have? I need that gif of Crowley with that long-ass list that rolls onto the floor. Crowley. That was wrong. Crowley. Oh, excuse me, Henry. You read them both at the same time? 300 and Mistakenly Saving the Villain. The same time. I could never read two Danmei at the same time. Even fluffy Danmei. I've never been able to read two things at the same time, actually. I've never been able to do that. It's actually kind of a miracle that I juggle what I do just in reacting to things. Because that means that I am consistently juggling at least 3 to 4 different fictional universes, which may or may not even count the one that I've made up in my head for the book, and then the one that I have to maintain for D&D. So, it's been a second. Maybe I could read two Danmei at the same time. Oh, Henry said I read Mistakenly Saving the Villain at the same time as Erha. Honey. Are you okay? Whew. Oh, good. Henry's all right. Henry's doing right. All right. At least you lived. Did I have anything else written down for you guys? Or are we legit just chatting for the next few minutes until I head on over to the reading stream? Oh, sweet. Oh, I also had a note that I was going to tell you anyway, even before, the poll grenade that just caused hilarity. I love you guys. I was also going to tell you guys that, another reason why I didn't focus on, Erha specifically for this chat and discussing stuff, aside from all the reasons that I talked about, is because since we're kind of caught up and everything, like we could have talked about Erha just like in general, but that time will come. That's for a future stream. That's actually for the very last book chat for Erha after we finish volume 11. Now that we start that this week, I can tell you guys, because the problem then becomes we finish Erha with a reading stream, and then months go by, and then we randomly tack on another, end final book chat discussion right before we start whatever the heck we start in like July. Like that doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to do is there's going to be a final Erha stream on a Thursday, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then the day after, we're going to have a big party, basically. We're going to have a nice big long book chat saying goodbye to Erha, talking about everything in general. I'm going to read as many of the author's notes as I possibly can. We're probably going to like cry over it because I've been reading this book specifically for 2 years, this series for 2 years. We're going to have a little end of Erha party as the last book chat for the series. So that is when we will have all of our general yapping, chaotic discussion. That comes up in about the next month, because it's going to take us about a month to finish Erha. Endeavorist, pardon me, brought up a title that I haven't heard before, so I'm going to write that down to check it out. Because I did a whole comprehensive comb through Seven Seas Dan May specifically, since at this point I know like what to expect from them in terms of just general like quality, translation, and all of that. I kind of went to them first. And so I have a list that I already told you about. But off the top of my head, I don't think I've heard of 10 Years I Loved You the Most Before. So I'm writing that down. Whether or not it ends up on a potential like Gaywatch reading stream thing, or it's just something I read in my own time, I have no idea. But I am going to look that up. Thank you. Sophie asks, can we have lots of votes in the last Erha stream? Yeah, what kind of votes? I'm always down for a poll. I love a poll, me. Oh, what kind of votes? Aside from what will then be the standard, like voting on the garden, it has to be Mehan Shuel for the saying goodbye to Erha chat, obviously. Although wasn't there, I think there's a new spirit that would have been perfect for another character, but we're all too attached to Mehan Shuel. I think so. Y'all have to remind me whenever you meet the new spirit. Or maybe we like change the spirit every... No, it has to be Mehan Shuel. Arha themed questions. Yeah, there we go. For polls. So Arha themed polls. In addition to Arha themed questions, yeah. It'll really be a I will bring topics like with any book chat, but considering it's going to be like a 2.5 hour long stream, like I will have topics, but it will also be a free-for-all. So anything on Arha that you guys want to make sure that we discuss, that'll be the time to bring it up. Zareem said 1 absolute unit or 2 twins. 1 unit or 2 twins. That is a fantastic, well, either poll or question, honestly. I've written that down. I imagine for the general discussion, as I take a second to like kind of go back over the whole series and see what leaps out at me to talk about, I'm sure Chushun's gonna be part of that. But I don't want to think about that right now, necessarily. But I'm sure there'll be some fucked up aspect about that I'll need to bring up and scream about for a while. Oh yeah, Ninin says, by the way, the afterword by Meat Bun was so nice. I'm almost certain that the afterword has been accounted for in the streams as we finish volume 11. I'm pretty sure there is something in there with Tuxedo's extremely helpful chapter breakdown for page counts and everything per stream. I'm pretty sure they've included that. Oh, somebody said something about rereading, and that actually just reminded me. For the last book chat for the Arha stream, I need to reread the bedtime story to baby Chuaneng that Moran tells. That's supposed to be absolutely sickening foreshadowing. I haven't done that on camera yet. I need to do that. So I may as well do that on the last book chat stream. Because, you know, is it an Arha stream if we don't, like, cry? I don't think it is, honestly. I think there have to be more streams than not in which, at the bare minimum, I have gotten choked up. And this is also why I'm actually not sure if Love is here at the moment. But the reading the author notes is why I've asked, I think both Tuxedo and Love actually, to sort of curate kind of a best of list when it comes to the the author notes, because Meat Bun is insane and there are author notes before like almost every single chapter, and it all amounts to, God, what was that? I think it all amounts to like 10,000 words or something like that, just in author notes. It was like something ridiculous. The word count was ridiculous. So this is why I've asked you guys to narrow it down. Because unfortunately, I can't get to all of them. I'm sorry. Blue says you absolutely need to read the Meat Bun Theaters. Is that what we're calling the author's notes? Tuxedo said, how many tangerines? As a poll. I'm writing that down. Ooh, and on that note, oh my God, that is what we call her author's notes. Are called the Meat Bun Theaters. Seriously. I need to be in contact with this woman because we need to be friends. She and I, we need to have a discussion. A couple of discussions, actually. I must speak with this woman. So I have these notes, and so I don't lose track of them, actually, I'm going to rip out the page and keep it over there. Before I now hop on over to the reading stream so that we can actually finish volume 10. That would be lovely to do now that I'm capable of streaming again. So, real quick before I hop over, we're sounding okay. I had to completely redo my post-processing setup because, I don't know, my computer decided to like really screw me on my microphone setup. So I had to redo everything. If it sounds good, it sounds fine and clear and present and like not overly harsh or anything like that, you guys, as always, are the guinea pigs. So, good. Sound is good. That makes me feel so much better. It should also sound good when screaming now. That's the big test. Because I would rather not make your ears bleed when that happens, and with me, it tends to happen a lot. So, that's what I'm looking for in the next stream. Because given what the fuck Meat Bun is doing with this short story, there's going to be screaming. So I'm going to hop on over there and get to it. I'm just where this short story could go has me just the possibilities have me in a chokehold. So I'm going to hop on over there. Thank you guys for literally just chatting and shooting the shit with me for like 40 minutes. Thank you so much. I'll be here on Thursday for another book chat, this time to actually discuss whatever the hell happens in the next stream. And I'll see you over there in just a couple of minutes.